There it is. All right, we're live. Mr. Marquez, how are you, sir?
Mr. Rogan.
You're having too much fun with that.
We're just having too much fun. Brother, how has it been, man?
Dude, it's been, what did we say, 10 years?
Yeah, man. I
15?
think so. The last time I saw you, I was in Mesquite. I know it was over 10 years ago. Nah, I don't even know why I was there. I was at a tire shop or something. You just pulled out of nowhere. You gave me your card, and then that was the last time I saw you. But before that, it was probably another good 5 or 7 years. So
I gave you a card. What card did I
you
give you?
gave me a card. I don't remember where. I think it was.
Did I like buy your tires or something? What did I don't
Can't
remember.
remember. It was a place right there on Galloway. That was the last time I saw you. Yeah. So
Well,
let's just say split the difference. Maybe it was 7 years. I don't know. I don't
7
remember.
years?
But it was a while ago.
All right, so one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was when we were kids, you went off to Mexico and you did you stayed with some family and
Yeah.
you got into boxing. You remember that? Tell me about that.
Dude, how do you remember this
I'm
stuff?
telling you.
I don't understand how you remember all these little tiny nuances, man.
It just sticks.
You were paying attention.
I pay attention.
Boxing, wow. Okay, so boxing actually, when I was about 16, 17, my dad, for whatever, me and my dad have always been, I would say, I don't want to say the closest, but um, at least on the artistic side or the conversational side, like on the more personal level, me and my dad have always been closer. So he would always try to get me to do things or hey, that sounds so negative. I mean in a positive way, actually. He would always try to bring something he learned in, for example, like whenever he was doing business some 20, 30 years ago, he really got into like motivational speakers like, Tony Robbins and, Zig Ziglar and Rohn and guys like that. And he would like, he'd share that stuff with me and he'd get me into motivational speaking. And one day he was like, you should try boxing. You want to give it a go? And he already had it like planned out. He took me to like a bunch of gyms right there on 45. And he's like, let's give it a try. And we finally found one called Oak Cliff Boxing Club right there on 45 in Lancaster. I don't think it's there anymore. Haven't been there in such a long time. And yeah, I gave it a go for like a good 2 years. And I quickly realized that the first day they put me to spar, which wasn't the first day I got there, but I got beat up by a kid like a good clean foot shorter than me and a solid 30 to 40 pounds lighter than me. I'm not exaggerating. And he just gave it to me. And right then, as I was taking these punches in the face, I was like, I'm probably not going to do this professionally, but let's just do it for fun, And I still enjoy training and boxing. I still box. I still train with a friend of mine in Atlanta.
Yeah.
We try to do it 2-3 times a week. I mean, we can't always do it, but it's still a part of me, But
Well, you just shattered my memory of it. Like I thought in my mind, like you went off,
the Mexico
international boxing star. Like
where did the Mexico part come from, though? I'm so
I thought that's what you did, right? Like you were gone for some span of time, and you lived there with some family, right? And I
that
remember.
happened when I was a little older. I
Okay,
think
maybe
I
I'm
think you're
mixing the two.
yeah, maybe you're mixing it a little bit. No, I did go to Mexico but I was a little older. I think I was around 19, almost 20. And this has nothing to do with boxing. I was actually ashamed of the way I communicated in Spanish. I felt like I needed to express myself properly. So being Chicano, first generation American, Mexican American guy, I've always felt very connected with my Mexican heritage and my culture, my traditions and stuff like that. But I felt there was times where I'd go to Mexico and I would struggle to understand jokes. I would struggle to understand certain cultural like things and slang and stuff, and it embarrassed me. and nobody would call me out on it. It's not like people would be like,
Wow.
"Ah, ah, ah." But I put this pressure on myself, and I was like, no, I'm gonna go and like learn Spanish the way I thought I had to learn Spanish.
I think that just shows the discipline that we were talking about that you have, that you as an actor, you can see that in your craft, I'm sure, but I see you as the type of guy that knows the boundaries and you want to stretch that out and just reconnect with the areas that you might be out of touch with, or learn more about the gaps that you feel are there that will help bridge, basically just bridge your life so that you can do more, be more. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. Here's the way, and I'm seeing it through my nephew. My nephew's about to be 2 years old in July, July 12th. I hope I didn't get it wrong. Yes, July 12th.
We can edit that part out.
Yeah, we can edit that part out. And I see a lot of traits. I didn't really think about it until you brought this question up, but I was thinking about it a week ago, and the kid literally wants to do everything. So if I'm on my phone, I know this sounds typical, like, oh, okay, you're on your phone. What does that have to do with anything? No, here's the thing, though. I don't watch TV, right? He doesn't like watching TV. But he comes around us, he sees what we do, and that's what he does. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I heard this thing about kids are sponges, but I hang around a lot of kids. I mean, I have a Mexican family. I mean, there's tons of kids all over the place. You know what I mean? And not all kids are like that. He's just very curious, and I think that's kind of what I have. I'm just a curious person. I've always wondered. Well, I'll give you an example. When I was a kid, I would ask my father all the time, why? Right? I think every kid asks that. Well, guess
Most
what?
of them do.
I'm
Most of them.
32 years old, and I
do
still
that?
ask my father why. And sometimes I make him think. He's like, we have these deep philosophical debates, and
We need to bring him in, dude.
we will.
I don't think I've ever met your dad.
Oh, and let me tell you.
What's his name?
Oh my goodness, I could tell you some amazing stuff that my dad's doing right now. My dad's name is Roberto Marquez, and he goes by an artistic name now because he's, for a year and a half now, he kind of semi-retired. Now he's just like consulting us on the family business, and now he's doing art 100%.
Well, he went to Mexico and did something at the border, didn't he?
He did. So my dad one day called me. I was in Atlanta at the time, and that's where I live. He called me, and he was like, listen, this immigrant caravan is coming from Central America, and they're going to be in Tijuana. I want to do a project. I don't know, really what I'm going to do it about. I just know I need to be there, and I need to get this off my chest. Do you want to come? And I kind of hesitated for a little bit, and
Why?
I hesitated because me and my father at that time were going through a little, some issues, some personal stuff, and we had some words and stuff, and I kind of doubted the that's the wrong word. I didn't doubt. I had a little bit of that resentment still in me because my father he's very forgetful, he'll just just as forgetful as he is, he's also forgiving. So I just kind of wanted to touch that conversation and be like, Dad, you need to say sorry. Deep inside, I didn't really physically want him to verbally say it, but anyways, I say that as a precursor because my I had this little thing. I told my friend about the project that he wanted to do in art, in the border with my people, and my friend was like, are you crazy? Dude, your dad's handing you the coolest opportunity. And I'm like, yeah, he says that all the time. I'm like, you're an idiot, bro. You're trying to rekindle your relationship with your father. He's offering a trip, everything paid for, this, that, and you're being a little child. He put me in my place, and I was just quiet. And then he's like, listen, I have the camera. I got the lenses. I got the lights. And I'm in California. Meet me here. He didn't have to ask me twice. And then I was like, Dad. and I don't know if my dad knows this, but like I just called him up, and it was almost like meant to be. So we get down there, and it's just chaos. Like a bunch of people at the border asking for asylum. Kids are there, babies there. We shot a lot of this, and we're actually in post production right now for this documentary. Uh, Actually, no, that's not entirely true. We're actually finishing a tail end of it. We thought we were in post production. We started editing some stuff, but then we realized we needed to go back and shoot some.
So is this going to be on
No,
Netflix
no.
or
It's
Amazon
not gonna be
Prime, or is it
ongoing or anything.
underground, or how could listeners view this documentary once it
Well,
releases?
right now we're gonna be putting like our updates on 369 Cinema. It's our page on Facebook and Instagram. But when I get a little more material for the teaser and the trailer, I will start blasting more stuff. The reason I haven't been doing that right now is just because, we've been figuring out what direction we're gonna take with the documentary. So I mean, the thing started like, that as the background. The immigrant situation and how it like made my dad feel, because my dad essentially came as an illegal immigrant, and now he's a citizen.
Yeah.
I mean, my mother's a citizen now. My older brother's a citizen. Like, me, my sister, and my younger brother, we were born here. So, it brought back all this repressed kind of emotional trauma that my dad had. But some of it was even good, the way he explains it. So my dad was down there, and he had to, kind of dodge certain political things. The Mexican police wasn't really happy when they found out we were supporting the Hondurans and the Salvadorans. Like, listen, like we just said like this, they're like our family. So like they're Latinos, so like why you have something against them? And then of course the U.S. Didn't like it either, because we got to a point where we focused. Well, when I say we, I mean my dad, but collectively, I was in his presence. So my father was definitely the creator of the art and everything like that. I would just at times he would want me to like give ideas and stuff like that, and so I would consult a little bit, but I definitely not behind that part. I'm not that gifted. But my dad shifted from doing the art with the people on the beach and stuff like that, because the media started attacking him. So he's like, you know what? I'm gonna start making flags, American flags, and writing messages of hope, and some of it were like acts of rebellion, because he was like, hey, listen, like this is land for everybody. Like, I mean, like, how is it that some people are coming from, from all this land? They're not coming because they want to. They're coming because they have to. A lot of people were fleeing gangs that were going to kill them, their family, their kids.
Yeah.
Even rape and all, crazy stuff like
Yes.
that. And it's a good third of them, more economic reasons, and then some other people were just following the masses, as they say. And of course, I'm sure there's some planned, political thing around it. I'm sure there is. I'm sure not all of it's, what they say it is. But the majority of the people are just honest, normal, regular people trying to make a living. And so, that's really what the project's about. And my dad, to this day, is still, doing these types of protests and silent protests, because really we're not being aggressive or attacking any certain individual. We're just really trying to bring a little level of awareness that, listen, let's bring humanity back to this thing and stop going too much to the political side and the whole, like, they're breaking the law. Like, yeah, I get it, but listen.
Well, I read this book that I recommend to everybody, and it says that nations will rise against nation. And we've all heard the expression, history is the war of the haves and the have-nots, right? It's the war of social classes. Mm-hmm. And I think that we are with Texas being a border state, to Mexico. And you mentioned the Mexican police having an issue with the Salvadorians and the Hondurans. Is that
Yeah.
right? We'll get into that later because I don't know much about it. But we're our generation is inheriting a lot of interesting issues. This wall that is separating Mexico from Texas, potentially the U.S. and Mexico. I have a theory on that. You want to hear it? Do you know how much that
I'm all
wall is
ears.
costing?
The what? Say
You
it?
know how much that wall is costing?
Tons of money.
Billions,
Yeah.
right? I'm not a politician. I am a humble Texas teacher. But I do think a lot. And I think that every wall we've ever built, it doesn't stand. You hear people talk about, oh, the Great Wall of China. It's a tourist destination now. The wall they're building is not going to be a tourist destination. It's going to fall one day. How many billions are we spending in taxpayer money to create this homeowners association-esque mentality of us and them and us, right? What if we were to pour those billions into infrastructure and get rid of the conditions that are causing the people to flee their home villages and home cities and hometowns? I mean, it's hard not to be political when politics seemingly runs everything, because politics is like the business of money.
I will say though, I'm glad you said that because sometimes people, and I hear this in Hollywood a lot, it bothers me. I have a friend, and I'm not attacking him. Actually, I love him to death. This is
I'll attack him.
No, no, no,
I
no,
don't
no,
know
no,
him.
no, no. I actually.
We can figure that out
No,
later.
no, I actually love him a lot. Like, I respect and admire him. But it's something that goes with the business. And I'll just say this because I want you to continue your thought. I'm just
Sure.
going to say this one thing. They say, stay your course. You know, don't outstep your boundaries.
Right.
You know. And they say this little thing. They're like, don't get political. Now, okay, I see what you're trying to say, but in this case, you just said it. It's like you're talking about life. You're talking about
These kids that you saw.
you're talking about life. So when you say don't get political, you know what you're saying is don't talk about anything that discredits the institutions that give us money, power, and respect.
Yeah.
And that I have a problem with, no matter what I'm affiliated with. So continue. That is all I had to say.
I think I was pretty much done. I don't know why, but my mind just went to Krasinski's Jack Ryan. Have you seen the new?
Oh no! But I want
Man,
to see,
it's
man.
good stuff.
He's a
good
great
stuff.
actor, man.
Yeah, it's like let's tell the agency, don't be too, don't get into politics. Don't be too political. You can stage this coup and you can take down this special. But let's not do politics.
Yeah.
What we're saying is, don't upset the opinions and the belief systems of somebody else that might be different, or something that might be the way we've always done it.
The way we've always done it.
And
It's kind of scary.
our generation is like every generation before us. I mean, we saw turbulence in the 1960s. So much so that, what was it, in Ohio, was it the Kent State shootings or whatever,
Oh
where the
yeah,
National Guard,
yeah.
I don't think we've seen anything to that caliber like the turbulent 60s, but do we need to? Question mark. I don't know. Like, what's the end game here, Thanos? What's going on?
Look. This is. I think we've gained enough collective knowledge to understand that one, physical repression won't keep us in perpetual ignorance, no matter who the slave master is. But here's the other important note to understand as well. It's a dualistic thing as well. Also, the physical destruction and the violent act of attacking the aggressor will just bring more aggression. So we, from my perspective and my experience, have started to understand on a very small level or a larger level. This is really for people's own experiences to kind of come out in their own personal way. But the way I've seen things is like the mind, the spirit, and the word is so powerful that if you understand the power from within your heart and the intention you have, each one of us has so much unlimited power that when we start to really exercise that, that is where the fear comes. Because then the change, then the game's over. Then this whole little matrix thing, if you will, kind of falls apart. It's like
It needs updating.
yeah, it needs updating. There's this really good line that Anthony Quinn says in Gotti from the '90s. He says, you can't just break the rules. I'm paraphrasing. It's not verbatim. He said, you can't just break the rules because this whole thing cracks and crumbles. And that resonates with me so much. It's like, yeah,
Oh, wow.
what he's trying to say, there's so much symbolism in this. It's like, this thing is a game. You do not understand. There's masters, and then there's the rest of you guys.
Yeah.
Don't fall out of play. I'm just a general passing you the knowledge, the message. So, that's what we're seeing right now. People are starting to see the truth, but not because I'm telling you. It has nothing to do with me. I'm just observing. I'm an observer. That's it. That's all I claim to be, an observer. I'm wrong many times. So, you observe, you analyze, you report back, and then sometimes you change your mind because you're like, no, okay, I was wrong. So I think that I already got away from the question
Yeah,
already.
I don't even remember what we were talking about.
I went on a tangent, but yeah. I just think that I think the point I was trying to make was, and I hate making points now. Like I used to love making points, and now I don't want to make any point now. I just want to be happy now.
You don't make PowerPoints like on the daily? I do. I've got a flash drive set aside just for that.
Listen here. I'm going to break it down for
This
you.
is a PowerPoint about the previous PowerPoint you just saw. This is a...
Exhibit A.
So, I want to go back to the families
Yeah.
in Tijuana that you saw. I feel that the common people are always caught in these agendas of the drivers. You say master, I say driver. I don't know. It's semantics. It's the same thing. I feel like we are just all trying to live the best fulfilled life that we can. And a lot of that is determined by factors outside of your control. Trevor Noah talks a little bit about equal access. In South Africa, he describes his experience with unequal access and then coming to the East Coast in America. And he says, and I'm paraphrasing him, but he says, like, we live in a time in America where we have more equal access and more information and more of everything that's been available that we're almost seemingly, we don't know what to do with it. Mm-hmm. It's this battle within ourselves where we fight complacency and we fight being fed grapes all day. When you're fed grapes all day, you're like, get these grapes away from me. Like, who are you? We just find things to complain about. And one of the things that I've read in this book I was telling you about, Isaiah 9:6. Yeah. Dude, Isaiah is like rich. Have you read Isaiah?
Not that I remember.
It is rich. It is rich. It says, for unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulder. So all of this stuff that with these governments, this nation rising against nation, it's on his shoulder. Well, who is he? Jesus. Right? I think that my life has shifted so much when I began reading. As soon as I began reading, I stopped looking at the shadows on the wall. and being afraid of them. And I turned and I got out of the cave. And when you get out of the cave and you see the shadows on the wall that people are still afraid of because they think they're monsters or whatever.
Preach.
Now you're tasked with, how do I tell them?
Oof. Wow. You're preaching today.
So
you took it up another level.
So my question.
You see why I said Nathan Rogan?
One of the things I wanted to ask you was, you talk to people that are born here in America and they're like, you hear the narrative, oh, this nation is so crappy, blah, 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 blah. How do you bring that narrative to somebody like the families that you saw in Tijuana?
Well, it's hard to understand if you haven't seen it, because it's really easy for me to tell you my experience and tell you, understand my experience, man. This is what I saw. You're gonna be like, dude, who are you, right? Who's this crazy guy with a beard, telling me, you need to be this way, you need to be that way? That's why I said that statement of, I don't want to make a point anymore. I just want to be happy. I want to love people. But even within this, I'm trying to make a point. It's a funny thing.
It's hard to talk and not make points. Like
Right? But, okay, I will say this. Look, they are just like you and me. And the fact that a corrupt government, the fact that a government is repressed by another government as well, because there's all sorts of wars from other governments coming in.
It's a lot of documents to go through.
Dude, it's a lot of things going on that we don't fully understand as a society right now. We will further down the road, maybe not. But let's just say there's a lot of things going on under the table that we don't understand. And so these people come because they don't have the ability to stay there in peace. Because let me tell you something, Central America is a beautiful place. I just went to Guatemala not too long ago, and I'm telling you, it was a beautiful country. I haven't been to El Salvador yet. I've been to Honduras once, little island called Roatan. They didn't let us go onto the mainland because some of the people that we were with, some family member, supposedly something happened or murder happened. I don't know. And there was a lot of fear, so they didn't let us go in there. But a lot of people that I talked to that have been there, my father's been there several times by himself, say nothing but good things about the country. So there's definitely this aspect of fear that kind of clouds the judgment of both sides, by the way, of people coming this way and people going the other way. So my only advice to people when making an assessment or an analysis is first experience it, then speak. So I think the more wisdom that you carry, the more wisdom that you acquire with experience, not with age, because age has no correlation with wisdom. Let me tell you something. I've met some people who are 80 years old and they're some damn fools, and I'm so sorry to say it, but age does not give you wisdom.
Yeah.
Experience gives you wisdom. And having that open-mindedness to allow new information to cover the walls of your brain and your spirit. I mean, it's just common sense now, but if you would have told me this when I was 15, I'd be like, what are you talking about, right? It's like another language we're talking here. So, again, and another thing that I've noticed too, if you just, like you said, just open a book and read, man. Like, dude, migration is the most natural thing in the world. We've been migrating ever since the beginning of mankind.
Yeah. There's a movie with Benicio del Toro. I can't remember. Movimiento es la vida. That was a line that was in there.
Wait, what
Movement
movie
is life, right?
Oh, I like that. I haven't seen this movie.
I think it might be the Che Guevara stuff that he was doing.
Okay, yeah.
That might have been what
the
it is.
mini-series, right?
I think so. I think that's what it is.
You're good, man. You
Am I pulling some? Are you impressed yet?
No, I've always been impressed by you. Always.
No, but so I want to come back to what you said about open-mindedness. There is a direct correlation between fulfillment and open-mindedness. It's painful
Absolutely.
when you realize how close-minded you are. And we were just talking about this, like we're at the point in life now where if I were to run across my 18-year-old self, like what conversations could we have? And I tell all of the young people that I talk to, because we're in the documentary age. Everybody with an Apple product can produce
Absolutely.
and record everything. And we're like the tail end of the generation that could make mistakes off camera. And now think about how this is affecting worldwide psychology, because it's increasing depression, it's increasing anxiety, because everybody has to be on point all the time. And a 10-second clip of you messing up can be brought back 20 years down the road. So that fear that you were talking about that you see in Central America, it's the same fear that we see in the digital age in some of the most advanced cultures on the planet. They don't want to mess up, so they don't do anything. How many times have you
Wow.
seen this?
Whew.
So
Dude, you're a
my
poet, man.
my the thing that I keep in mind when we've got these two microphones in front of me is to remain human enough to relate to the people listening, but try to be smart enough to where I can listen to this when I'm 50 and not say, look at this idiot. Look at this idiot. What did he know? He's talking about all these movies and these interviews. Who is this guy? Because there are natural walls that are built before you even get here. Sometimes it's racial, sometimes it's cultural, sometimes it's age. You know, I had a dream to be an NBA player. Not gonna happen. Don't have the build for it. I mean, unless I honed my craft, like what's that guy?
Bugsy Bugs.
Bugs.
Yeah, Bugs.
Yeah, that's the one. He was on Space Jam, wasn't he?
Was
He was on Space Jam.
Jam. That's our generation, man.
And if you're singing the soundtrack right now, you need to subscribe. You just do. This is for you. Um, I think it's healthy to not write off those barriers and those walls, but to understand them and fit in before you get ready to break out. I think what a lot of the young generations are doing is they're trying to break out before they even fit in, and it's causing a lot of tension. Do you see this?
Every day. Look, I would say look, you remember that little phrase that everybody used to say, find yourself, we went and found ourselves. I used to think that was just some just little cliche thing, but to truly understand, there's many names for it, okay? Passion, purpose, path, whatever you want to call it. When you don't understand that, it's easy to just get sidetracked from everything. Because let me tell you something. Even though we are swimming in knowledge, hey, what are we getting out of all this extra information and extra knowledge? It's almost as if this goodness of knowledge can be distracting in a way. Now, I will say that there's nothing wrong in the knowledge. No, absolutely not. It's a tool. But before you learn how to use the tool, you have to learn how to navigate the mind. It's directly correlated.
Yeah.
So it's like you have the car, but you don't know where to go, right?
Right.
And we have all the cars. We have too much. We have too many tools. In this case, less is more. And, it's funny that a lot of people our age, 30s, and even younger, are going to these new type of lifestyles like minimalism and permaculture, which I really love permaculture. If you don't know, I'll explain a little bit more. But It's funny that we're going to more of a, let's say, a less physical and material world, because we finally noticed that drowning in stuff is not going to bring happiness. But it's not about the happiness, because we were talking about this earlier. The pleasure is pain, and pain is pleasure. So when you search only the stimulation, you only get pain in the end. Because why? Because you lack understanding. Because it's nothing wrong with that thing. There's nothing wrong with the food. There's nothing wrong with the house and the car and the joy and going out and having fun. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you get this stuff before the knowledge has time to ferment into wisdom, then you're kind of just going along with the motions of life, going along with the masses and how they just, live and, So one thing that's helped me drastically in my life is traveling. And I've always traveled kind of with a motive. I haven't always done it on purpose. It's not like I was like, I'm only gonna travel like this. No, but like I've kind of worked and traveled. So like I work and play at the same time. And so it helped me kind of be like, man, you know what? Like, whoever sold us a lie and said like this is the best place in the world, it's not true. Because the world is one big amazing place, and the world's amazing. The people are amazing everywhere. You just have to see it from their perspective, and you have to talk with them and see like, man, it's not what we've been sold, and vice versa. It's like this place is not a bad place, like the rest of the world has been, But again, you have to be here to understand that. So I value experience much more now, firsthand experience, than philosophy or theory, or people coming to me and blah 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 and giving me a lip service. Like, listen, like I get where you're coming from. I respect you. I don't want to fight you. I'm like, I told you, I'm like some hippie now. I just want to go to the forest and just eat fruit and just be happy. I don't. But sometimes life isn't like that. You gotta like confront, obstacles. You gotta talk to people, and you gotta just tell people sometimes, dude, you're wrong, man. It's not so one dimensional, and not everything's black and white. So, yeah, man, just disconnect a little bit sometimes. Detox a little bit from the media, this and that, and just think for yourself. Let's go back to critical thinking.
But that's hard.
Let's go back to critical
That's
thinking.
hard. No, I just updated my Apple product. I've got the new series on Q.
But
I can just sit and watch.
But brother, don't you think also? Let's examine this. Let's really have a real social discussion.
All right, that's all the time we have today, folks. Thanks for joining me.
And if you just made it, that's it.
That's it. And we'd like to thank our sponsors. We don't have any sponsors. If you're interested, call. No, I'm just joking.
No, but it's an amazing tool, though. You can't deny also that we've allowed this iPhone or whatever, this technology to bring us down, and we could just bash it all we want. But at the same time, I've also been open to a new world thanks to technology, and
Absolutely.
thanks to YouTube, and thanks to a lot of things.
Absolutely.
Even though they're the key, or let's say they hold all the keys and all this nonsense, because they do repress a lot of information. They do censor a lot of information. But even within that realm of knowledge, man, there's still a lot to learn. And thanks to this technology, it's to me, it's opened my eyes. But again, it's how you use it, man. It's the intention you put into it, brother.
It's the motive.
It's the motive, man.
Motive. We talked about that. Yeah. Awesome. We're going to hit pause, and we're going to come back for episode 2. And I'm going to tell you about my trip to Brazil. It changed my life. What you said about traveling is very, very true, very, very accurate. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Marquez, thanks for being here, buddy.
Brother, it's a pleasure, man. I thank you for inviting me, man. It's been a long time, man. You're like my brother, man. My brother from another mother.
I appreciate it. We'll talk about that, because there's a secret I've got to tell you. Your dad is actually my dad too.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Bring him out. Bring.
Camera.